What's up, guys? It's Drifts and Lifts here. All right, so on today's video, we are going to be testing IPD front and rear sway bars on my 740 wagon here. I'm just chilling with my friend Cam at Cam's Acres Drift Complex here in Oklahoma. So we're going to be using his private track to do a bunch of testing on these IPD sway bars. So currently, my car, since I've built it, has had a stock front sway bar as well as a 25 millimeter IPD rear sway bar. So our friends at IPD have sent me this 25 millimeter front sway bar as well as their bushing installation kit. So the whole time since I built this car, I've always wanted to try a IPD front sway bar on it because while I like the setup of it now, it is a little bit too much body roll in the front end. So this is gonna help me out quite a bit and kind of get the car more planted. So what we're gonna be doing as far as testing goes is I wanna do a drift test as well as a time attack and lap time test. So we're gonna see if these sway bars actually make your car faster around a corner. And we're also gonna play around with how they make the car feel as far as drifting goes. So we have a bunch of different tires and stuff here to try out. So right now we're currently running these wheels and these same tires on the front of the car. So these are I haven't even taken a look. It's an ATR Sport. Shout out to my friend Joey Lizaraga for hooking me up with these for this video. It's a 195 55 16-inch tire, and it is a Treadwear 400. So we're gonna be running these on the back when we do the lap time portion of this video. But for the drifting portion of it, we're gonna be running these tires on the back. So I have two pairs of these Ironman, I guess they're like an iMove Gen 3. We have a lot of tread on the ones that are on the car right now, and we have a little bit of tread left on these ones. So just to give you guys a really in-depth showcase of how the car feels, we don't want the tires to be like really worn out the one lap and then super, like full tread the next, and it's not really gonna give you the whole picture of how these sway bars actually act. So I should mention right now, the suspension setup on this car, in the front, we still have the stock spring. Now, I cut out one coil. So a lot of you guys, and I used to do this all the time back in the day, if you've been watching the videos, you've seen me lop out like 3.5 springs from one of these things, basically cutting the spring in half and it's bouncing down the road like a pogo stick, and it's not a good call. But this setup I found is one of the best like stock, slightly upgraded setups that I've done. Cutting just one coil off of the front stock springs and cutting 2 coils out of the stock rear springs. So that brings our ride height to about flat, and it lowers the car a little bit. And when you cut a spring, it does make the spring rate a little bit stiffer as well. So that's another kind of cool thing about it. Now, the only problem is you guys want to be slammed. So you can't get a good feeling car that's also super low unless you actually put coilovers on the car. If you want to have a low ass car with cut springs, you're going to be sacrificing ride quality and performance by a good margin. So this car, because it's obviously not super low, but cutting that one spring out of the rear, or sorry, the front, and then cutting 2 springs out of the rear, kind of brings it back to a little more performance of a feel. So the other thing this car has is we did the camber mod. So you drill out the top hats and you shift them in a little ways. So this car has negative 1.9 degrees of camber in the front. So a stock 740 would be about no camber at all, or maybe like negative 0.2 or something like that. So this has a little bit of extra camber, which is actually going to help the grip in the front as well. So I'm excited to see how this all works, guys. It's going to be really fun kind of testing the different feels. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna go drift it with this setup, with these tires. We're gonna bring it back in, like I said. We're gonna take off the rear sway bar. We are going to drift it with no rear sway bar and a stock front sway bar. Then we're gonna put on our grippy rear tires, and we are going to be doing a lap time test. So we're actually gonna map out a little track that we wanna do, and we're gonna do 3 laps as fast as I can grip driving the car. And then we're gonna come back in here, we're gonna put our new front IPD sway bar on, and then we're gonna put the IPD rear back on. So it's gonna be a direct comparison between what the car would have came from the factory as far as sway bars go right to our dual IPD sway bars, front and rear. And if I were to guess, I think it's gonna make a really big difference in the amount of body roll. There's a pretty good chance that it's gonna make the car faster around a corner. So I'm really excited to see it. Let's get to it. All right guys, so we're gonna do a drift test. Me and Cam just mapped out the circuit that we wanna do for the drifting, as well as the road course time attack. So yeah, I'll just show you guys how this thing feels right now. All right guys, so we just did the drift test of the stock front sway bar and IPD rear sway bar. So now we're gonna take the IPD rear sway bar off. Really simple installation for these things. Just this nut right here, and then you loosen this one, slide your shock bolt that way a little bit, and then this sway bar will just drop right out. So the other thing is, on a wagon, IPD will include a pair of these sway bar brackets. If you have a wagon, your car will not come factory with these. So IPD in their kit actually sells, it comes with these brackets for you. So no more IPD rear sway bar. Just got it chilling over here. So now we're gonna go back out to the track and do a drift test while we still have these tires on. And then we're going to put our grippy matching rear tires, and we're going to do a time attack test on that same layout. All right guys, drift test with the stock sway bar settings. Holy shit. Ah, okay. There's a lot more grip in the rear. All right, so that gives you a pretty darn good example right there. You can tell the front to rear grip bias has changed. Honestly, it's quite substantial, the feeling. So lot more, a little more body roll back there, but definitely more grip in the rear. So All right, well, we're gonna do a big entry test now. All right, guys, so this is interesting. Drifting with no rear sway bar and stock front sway bar definitely changed how the car felt. Like, it's quite substantial. The rear got more grippy in relation to the front. So the other thing that happened is when you have a rear sway bar, some of that anti-body roll characteristics of that is going to transfer over to the front. And because we took that rear sway bar off, it actually allowed the body to roll enough that my fender now came in contact with the tire. So that has not happened this whole time drifting this car. Cam actually just noticed it when we did the big flick, that it actually made contact with the tire. So I'm gonna take this tire off. We're gonna bash in the fenders a little bit so it doesn't happen again, because you can tear your fender off pretty good doing that, or warp it or whatever. And this car is pretty nice. Kind of like the look of this thing. So don't need to go too crazy with it. I should have a heat gun. If you guys are doing this yourself, you can already see my paint is starting to crack right here. So to avoid that, you should have a heat gun. Fortunately, this beautiful Oklahoma sun ain't quite hot enough to heat this thing up to prevent that, but what can you do? We're still doing it. We still got it. All right, guys, so now we're going to do the lap time test with our matching front and rear tires. All right, guys, here we go. So quite understeery. A lot of understeer, actually. Lots of understeer in this corner. I'm basically kind of bringing it to the point where my front tires are on the verge of understeer the whole way. I think these IPD sway bars are going to make a big difference. This Recaro Evo seat is pretty decent, but I could really use something a little more aggressive. Holy shit. Okay, come on, girl. Let's go, let's go. So it does not want to oversteer on throttle. It's actually just understeering. All right, guys, so we got our new IPD front 25 millimeter sway bar installed. So it comes with some grease to put in the bushings to essentially prolong the bushing life and allow them to flex and rotate properly. So I ended up going with the Strong Flex top bushings. IPD did send me 4 per side of their blue bushings, but the yellow ones are just a little more aggressive. As you guys can see, I have the yellow bushings, essentially the full bushing kit in this car. So we got like the strut rod bushing right there is Strong Flex yellow polyurethane. The body 2 strut rod, big bushing there. We got the control arm bushing under there is Strong Flex as well. So it's this car it's full poly bushings. Everything is nice and tight, as well as the rear. The same thing's going on. We got the yellow poly everywhere. The IPD polyurethane is good. It's just a little more soft than the Strong Flex stuff. So it's probably really not going to make much of a difference, but I figured I'd throw it on there anyways. So this thing's looking awesome. Now we're going to put our skid plate back on, and we're ready to get back out there. So let's go test this thing. All right, guys, so back at the track, we got both IPD 25 millimeter sway bars on the car now. We're going to start out with our time attack run. 3 laps of the same circuit that we did with no sway bars, or should I say no rear sway bar and a stock front. So if I were to estimate, I think it's going to be quite a bit faster. Let's take a look at our times here for the first couple laps. So very consistent. We had 39:16, 39:18, and a 39:37. So if we can even beat that by like a second, that'll really show us that these IPD sway bars are actually helping the handling of the car quite substantially. So there's even a chance that we're gonna get like 2 seconds better though. So just me and Cam just driving the car in here right now. We did a couple just like little side to sides, and it feels more planted. So let's see if it actually shows on the timer. Okay, so it is substantially different. Just upon initial feel, there's way less body roll. It's super noticeable. So we'll get the tires kind of warmed up on this first lap here. It feels like there's more grip, just in general. All right, guys, here we go. Lap 1. Wants to rotate more under throttle, which is actually good. Kind of allows me to get the back end around a little better. I want to say this thing's going around a little faster than before. I were to guess, it felt like the car was going around the track a little faster. These front tires, I mean, they're not that grippy. They're pretty like, they're pretty old. I know that they're like 6 or 7 years old, so I'm sure this thing could get a lot better handling with, you know, a more grippy front tire, or just tires in general. But I would say it's still a little bit, it's a little bit biased to understeer, which is good. That's kind of what we want. So let's see what the times are. Cam's got them for us. All right, guys, so the results are in, and it's, my estimate was going to be 1 second quicker per lap, and that's exactly what it was. With the IPD Swaybars, we got 38.24, 38.47, and 38.45. So pretty much a whole second quicker on a, you know, 38-second lap time. So when I was going around the corner, it felt faster. It just went around the corners a little bit faster. And the thing that I noticed was the car was more balanced. It kind of dove into the corners, and I could sort of steer the car with the rear a little bit. So it actually kind of was able to dive into the corners and rotate the car into the corner a little bit better, whereas before it was quite understeer prone. The cool thing is the car still is like kind of understeer prone a little bit, but it has much more of a balanced feel. You know, if I want to get it to step out, I can throttle it and it'll eventually kind of come out. Whereas before, even if I was on throttle turning into it, it was actually just pushing me understeer, and it wasn't really getting the back end to rotate around. So these IPD bars, man, really like tie the car together so nicely. So, you know, there you go, guys. It is pretty dead. You know, I think we did a pretty good test here. Shout out to my good friend Cam here for helping me out, lending us his amazing track. If you guys are in, you know, around Oklahoma or Texas, any of these areas around, come check out Cam's Acres race site, because this place is a little slice of heaven. It is an incredible track. That was just one of the layouts that you can do here, but there's so many different layouts. They got like many different ways to drift this track and race around this track. So anyways, guys, yep, IPD Swaybars, go get yourself a set of these things. They definitely transform the feel of the car. They tie everything together. And if you guys want to replicate this setup that I have on this car, I would highly recommend it. You know, the cut one spring off the front, you got 2 springs off the rear with the little camber mod in the front. And if I put some really grippy tires on this thing, like these are just like a Treadwear 400 kind of, you know, middle of the road street tire. You know, if I got some proper like, you know, RE71 RS tires or something like that, this thing would corner like it's on freaking rails, dude. So, you know, for like a station wagon that weighs 2,800 pounds, non-turbo, not a whole lot of horsepower, this is a really, really fun car to drive. And I'm just like super stoked that it basically feels exactly how I want it to. All right, guys, so we got our drift tires on the rear. Let's compare how the car drifts with these new IPD Swaybars. Definitely more just kind of grip in general, I think. In general, it feels more planted though. It's definitely not body rolling as bad. All right, guys, so that is a wrap for today's video. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of the performance increase and the change in feel of how your car drives as far as, you know, upgraded sway bars go. So shout out to IPD for the hookup on the front sway bar. If you guys are interested in grabbing a set of these sway bars, which you should be interested after watching this video, head over to IPD's website. I got a link to these sway bars in the description of this video where you can buy them. And yeah, get your car handling better and, you know, less body roll, because nobody likes too much body roll. Maybe a little bit of body roll like this thing's got is nice, but you know, you don't want to be rolling that body too hard. So yeah, another big shout out to my good friend Cam here for you know, lending me his beautiful racetrack out here in Oklahoma to do this video, and as well as the other video that we filmed a couple days ago. So can't thank you enough, Cam. It's been amazing being here, and I'm gonna get back on the road. As you guys know, I'm on my great Volvo adventure. I've been on the road for 2.5 months, a little bit over now, and we got a couple more stops. We're gonna make it back west pretty soon here. If you guys want to hang out, especially if you got some Volvo 740, 940 headlights that you want to donate to the trip, any proceeds, any profit that I'm making off these headlights is going to go directly back into my project, so I can keep pumping out better videos for you guys. So if you got 740, 940 headlights you want to donate or sell for a good price, hit me up in the Instagram DMs and we can work something out. So we'd love to meet all you guys, and every point on this trip has gotten just, you know, that much better. There's been so many amazing experiences. I've got to meet so many cool people on this trip. It is nothing but a blessing. So anyways, guys, I'll leave you there for today. Like and subscribe for stiff Volvo bars. Peace out.